Welcome to East Coast Bias. Three guys love a bunch of different East Coast sports teams that we discuss in depth on the show. I'm your co-host Christian, along with my co-hosts Dan and Jack. Today we'll be recapping the Jets and Giants as always. Look forward to this week's games, and we will recap the misery of college football that was this past weekend, and preview this week's upcoming games.
Wasn't all miserable.
There was something. We got something to cheer about at least.
Dan, with 4 minutes to go, there was no way the Giants were going to lose that game, and yet they somehow blew it. What happened?
I think what happened is like almost the embodiment of what I've been saying is wrong with this Giants team the whole season. It's what happens when you play a team that can go up tempo and just turn around a game in an instant. The Giants did a little bit more digging into stats this week. The Giants are terrible on third down. I think they give up 50% of the third downs or conversions, which tells me teams can easily diagnose who is the weak matchup on the field and exploit that, which is what seems like the Eagles did at the end of that game. They exploited the interior of the defense and just looked like a completely different team. And the game came down to Evan Engram didn't make the play when he needed to, and Boston Scott did make the play for the Eagles when he needed to.
Yeah, I'm surprised you go straight to the defense. I mean, they did fall apart at the end, no doubt about it. They played a strong game, but what happened is Evan Engram dropped the ball. I mean, he catches that pass, the Giants win the game.
If the defense makes a stop on two drives, they win the game too. So
yeah, but it's easier to catch a pass that hits you right in the hands. And by the way, they finally freaking run them down the field, and guess what? He's wide open.
He was open.
He's faster than everyone.
Yep.
And Daniel Jones throws a dime, and he drops the ball.
It's a disaster. I can't. You're right. You're 100% right. That would have been a play that would have won the game very easily for them. And, it looked like Engram could have extended a little bit more to get closer to that ball, but he just kind of had his arms bent, like he almost thought he was just going to make a nonchalant over-the-shoulder catch.
Right off his fingertips.
Right through his fingertips. I mean,
Christian,
he slowed the ball down, and that was it.
Christian, can you go to the same shop where you got your Danny Dimes t-shirt and get another t-shirt of him falling on his ass, running unimpeded, 78 yards down
Danny
the field?
Trips.
Thank good. Danny Trips. There it is. Danny
But what a run.
It was. The guy's incredibly fast. He was outrunning.
What an incredible athlete. And he played great in the second half.
He was outrunning defensive backs.
I mean, he played great. That drive on the Sterling Shepard touchdown was great with the run. Falls down. He doesn't let it get to him. Comes back, scores a touchdown. A couple other good drives in the second half. But most importantly, when the game's on the line, he makes a perfect throw, and Evan Engram drops it.
I'm still left confused as to why, to supplement my point from last week, the Giants are now absolutely dead last in terms of plays per game for NFL offenses. I don't understand why they don't pick up the pace to at least give this guy a chance to make some of those plays and be the difference maker. I rag on him all the time. I rag on Daniel Jones all the time. I personally don't see it, but they're denying him an opportunity to put more out there on the field.
You can't deny that he played really well in this game, especially in the second half.
He played. It was one of his better games of the season. I'm not going to say he
really well
because he still turned the ball over. I mean, that's still the problem.
He fumbled. A big deal. The game was over. That doesn't.
But look. Okay, I agree with you. The game was over, and it wasn't that big of a deal. And maybe they weren't going to score a touchdown or field goal there anyway. But the issue is that it was a symptom of this problem that he has with pocket presence and pocket awareness. He just was not aware that a guy was coming from his right side. And every time a defender seems to get up close to him and be able to swat that ball from his tucked position.
But that makes no sense. The guy, Brandon Graham, he beat a double team. Why would you be aware when you have two guys blocking Brandon Graham?
Well, then what is his problem? What is his problem with awareness all the other times he gets
every
a
time?
It's a problem.
Yeah, but you got to go case by case. You can't just make a blanket statement on fumbles.
Every time
when you fumble every game, you can make a blanket statement.
No, you can't.
Well, every time
I did.
Daniel Jones goes back, he needs to assume that he's going to be pressured. So if that means taking different or better care of the ball, then he needs to do that, because that line's so horrible that at least he knows that there's not going to be a clean pocket. So at least
it would be different if
and
he still wasn't giving up one turnover a game.
The whole second half.
There's
I mean,
They
fumbles,
didn't lose the
there's
game. They won.
interceptions,
They
both.
should have won. If Evan Ingram catches the ball, they won that game because of Daniel Jones.
I mean,
So we can't say they lost the game because of Daniel Jones, because if Evan Ingram just catches a pass that hits him right in the hands, we're sitting here saying they won the game specifically because of Daniel Jones.
that's how the NFL games go.
Okay, I mean, I guess you could
Fundamental
say that
play.
because he was the one who was responsible for making the throw, but he's certainly not making it easy on himself. And the Giants aren't
But
making it easy on him.
he also was the one responsible for the 80-yard run, the touchdown passes.
That should have been a 90-yard run
Yeah,
that ended up in the end
he
zone.
wanted to pad
but
his stats and get a touchdown
he fell
pass.
ass over tea kettle on his way there. So
He wanted his teammates to get involved. I understand. I get it.
they wanted Wayne Gallman to get that touchdown.
Wayne
Give my
Gallman,
man Wayne.
let's talk a little bit about Wayne Gallman. Wayne Gallman looked damn good in the second half,
Why is
especially
he
in the
never,
fourth quarter.
This is
I
now
was not expecting that performance out of him. I don't know where that came from, but we need to see more. I think Freeman's healthy. Well, we need to see Wayne Gallman in a starting role this week.
This is the second coaching staff that, including the coaching staff that was responsible for bringing Wayne Gallman onto this team, that has basically thrown him in the doghouse, locked the door, and thrown away the key, apparently, until they, break glass in case of emergency. That's how they treat Wayne Gallman. And he finally gets a chance, and he looks good after Devontae.
Yeah,
Freeman
but
gets
he's
hurt.
had a little bit of playing time. He hasn't done anything.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
hasn't
he
really
was
flashed
playing
before.
like a man possessed.
That's not true. You go look at his yards per carry stats and his yard per touch stats in the last two seasons. It's not bad. Not somebody who should have been treated the way that he was, deactivated in games this season, basically not given any path to playing time last year, despite an injury to Saquon Barkley. They went and they signed Devontae Freeman rather than believe in him. The guy is deserving of an opportunity. He's apparently well-liked in the locker room. He's not a coaching problem. I don't know what the issue is, but the Giants keep him around, but it's like they keep him around to smack him around. They clearly don't like him, but every opportunity they have to get rid of him, they haven't. So it's just very strange to me, including a New York Post article this week, I don't know if it's today or yesterday, that said basically the Giants have no interest in re-signing him and that he's gone after this year. It's strange to me for a guy who seems like he could do okay when given the opportunity. It's not like Devontae Freeman was lighting the world on fire.
Yeah, I mean, after that, before you got to move him to the starting role.
Yeah, I assume he'll get
see what he's got. Give him 20
Right.
carries. Let's see what he can do.
If Freeman is out this week, he's absolutely going to get his shot, and I hope he takes advantage of it.
I think I saw Freeman practice today, so he should be.
Oh,
back.
really? Oh.
But regardless, Gallman needs to move into the starting role. Let's see, season's over. Let's see what he's got. A couple other changes I want to see this week after the long layaway from the Thursday night game. Got to start throwing the ball down the field more. That's what Daniel Jones does best by far, is throw the deep ball. Start throwing the ball down the field. I don't know what they're doing with these conservative plays that is not Jones' specialty. Start throwing the ball down the field. I want Matt Pert in the starting lineup. Not Pert, however you pronounce his name. I want Pert in the starting lineup. Cam Fleming to the bench. Fleming's been okay, but let's see what Pert has. Start planning for next year now. Get him in at right tackle. Get him in the starting lineup. Get him snaps. Let's see if he can be a starter moving forward.
So
and I want to see more Caden Smith. I like Caden Smith. He played well the other night. He had some great blocks in some of those Gallman runs. I want more 2 tight end sets. I want more Caden Smith.
I agree with you on all counts. I want to see them pick up the pace, maybe go incorporate some more no huddle drives to get more plays in, to at least give Daniel Jones a shot to have more better plays than worse plays. I get the feeling that Pert would have started this week if it wasn't for the short week and the lack of preparation that they had trying to, in between playing Sunday and then having a quick turnaround to play the Eagles on Thursday. This time they get extra break because they're coming off a Thursday game. It's almost like a mini bye. They're coming off a Thursday going into a Monday night game. I'd like to think that this gives him the reps and opportunity in practice to be able to be a legitimate option starting against the Buccaneers Monday
Are
night.
both rookies at the tackles.
And coming up on the trade deadline, who do we want moved this week?
Zeitler, I think, is a great candidate to get moved.
Golden Tate.
The Giants are hesitant to
Trade
throw
Zeitler.
Daniel
Let's
Jones
get
out to the
Shane. Let's
Wolves.
get, speaking of next year, let's get Shane Lemieux in there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
4th round pick. Let's see what he's got.
Oregon.
Ingram should be gone.
Trade Evan Ingram. You got Caden Smith to play.
Anybody that isn't nailed down, that isn't an option for next year, needs to be gone for conditional picks or whatever. I mean,
It doesn't sound like they're going to trade Ingram, and I'm okay with that because, I mean, this is like rock bottom value for him. So
there's still teams out there that I think that we could, buy in on the potential.
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be devastated when they trade him, but I just hate trading guys when you've just totally destroyed their value. So you might as well keep him and throw him the ball. But throw it down the
hope he
field.
doesn't drop
They just did.
I know, but keep doing it. If one pass a game, okay, he's going to drop it. Maybe throw 2 passes. Maybe he catches 1 of 2.
All right, that's fair. So, maybe
they need to get more creative with him. Right. They need to use him more in the seam. They need to get him in motion on his routes where Daniel Jones is hitting him in stride and he's not running out to the sideline or stopping, being Jason Witten 2.0, if you will. He's way more athletic than Jason Witten. He needs to be given those types of opportunities. If it means putting him up in the slot as a wide receiver, they got to do it. The personnel usage is confusing.
And you know what else? Something I want to stop seeing. Stop running that damn end around play with him in the red zone.
Right.
It worked one time. It's not going to work again. Stop running it.
I don't understand end around.
Well, it worked. It worked the first time. Great. You came up with. It's like Jason Garrett said, "Oh shit! I came up with a good play. We're going to run this now every single time we're in the red zone."
I think it's worked once this season, and it wasn't the first time because the first time they ran it, I believe it was a fumble on the goal line that resulted in a turnover.
I forgot about that. I remember the successful one. I blocked. They've
run it once or twice every game, and it's been to not a whole lot of success. I can think of off the top of my head one time it resulted in a good play.
It's like the fake field goal play that they ran. You run it once and then it's done. You can't run it again for at least another year or two.
Yep.
While we're at special teams fake miscues, let's also give a shout out to Corey Ballantyne for completely having no idea what he was doing as the gunner on the punt team, not even looking back at the punter to see that he was totally uncovered and would have resulted in an easy conversion for a first down. Yep.
So shout out to you, Corey. And I believe Ballantyne also had the penalty on Deshaun at the final touchdown drive that gave them a nice 15-yard head start.
And also continually taking the ball out of the end zone on kickoffs and getting to about the 15 and then getting tackled because he can't return a kick.
So you know what I noticed on the punt, because you're sitting there and you realize what's going on. The punter was clearly signaling to the sideline, and the sideline was kind of signaling back, and the punter was saying, like, you see what I see, right? And the sideline was like, yes, I see what you see.
And the Eagles didn't see it at all.
A way to change the play to a pass if the other defense uncovered a receiver, or at least get the guy's attention. So the punter sort of seemed like, hey, I'll throw this thing if we can get it called. But Ballantyne didn't know where the hell he was.
He would have dropped
around outer space.
He would have dropped
outer space. He
but
was in outer
he
space.
Probably could. Maybe they dropped it or something. So I know you said the Giants season is over, but is it over? Oh, I mean, how many games out of first place are there?
I mean, if they had won that game, I don't think it's over. But I think losing that game,
they win 2 weeks in a row, right? Aren't they? Right? I mean, they're
but we got the Bucks this week. I mean, that's a loss. But yeah, then they got 3 winnable games after that. I mean, you got to get to 7, right? Maybe 6, but let's just say to be comfortable. I mean, they're not getting to 7 wins.
All right. I mean, the Lions traded for Everson Griffin today. Everybody's got. I mean, the Lions are trading for people now.
Oh, the Cowboys are giving up. So
yeah, they are.
That's another team. That's El Foldsky in the division.
I mean, they got the Washington left. They got the Eagles. They got the Bengals. There's 3 potential wins, but after that, Seahawks, Cardinals, Browns, Ravens. I mean, I don't see any way in the world they can get to 7 wins. I mean, they got 1 win.
Sell everybody off
It's
then, right?
it's not possible because the depth issues on defense aren't going to get any better either. The Giants defense is good. It's not good enough. They don't give up a terrible amount of yards. They're really good against the run. I think they're one of the top teams against the run in the league. But again, teams seem to know where they can get that mismatch and get their good guys the ball with those mismatches. And that the Giants, just as has been the case the last couple of years, they can't get off the field when they need to.
Right. But they don't have to be good or be good in the conference. They simply have to win or tie more games than the other three franchises they happen to be in a division with. And
this
the
is
Cowboys,
true, but
the Cowboys might be starting Ben DiNucci, the rookie out of James Madison. The Nooch. He is going to be starting for the Dallas Cowboys this weekend.
But they still got to get to 6 wins.
How many
how
games
can you get to 6 wins?
Well,
they can't. It can't happen.
Cowboys going to win, and then
The Cowboys are. It's not the Cowboys. It's the Eagles.
It's the Eagles.
Win.
Right.
Eagles are going to win 6 games.
Okay, so how many game wins the Eagles have now? 3 or 2?
2.
And they got the tie, so that 2.5.
Okay, so 2.5, and the Giants have 1. But it's the Eagles. I'm just saying, crazier things have happened.
I mean, it's not over. They're not dead like you would be in a typical year with 1 win.
Right.
But
if they wanted to have that conversation, they should have won that game and then a couple of these other games that they've been close in.
I mean, if they win that, if Evan Ingram catches the ball, they're legitimately maybe even the favorites to win the division. But that loss,
they got the winner.
And if Washington converts a 2-point conversion, they're so far out of it and looking at 0-16.
Yeah, but that's the way the NFL goes, right? I mean,
it's 1
or 2 games here or there. Yeah, they got a shot. Anyway, you're right. I shouldn't say the season's over. They have a small chance left.
Mathematically, it's not as bad as it would be in any other year.
If they come out and they make the changes that I just ran through, I think they might have a shot. But I don't know if I have faith in Jason Garrett to do it.
No. I'm not seeing it because this has been an issue for 7 weeks now, and they haven't shown any inkling of correcting it. And if you ask me, they're even withdrawing further into their shell and getting more conservative. They really opened it up against the Cowboys and then went completely conservative against Washington and again against the Eagles, trying to play this, I guess, ball control, keep the defense off the field. But that's not working because the defense can't get off the field when it matters. So it's not a great situation. There's no chance they put themselves into this race. No chance.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Speaking of teams with no chances in the playoffs.
Yeah, let's talk Jets. Jets.
Well,
looked okay for a half.
Hold on, I have a little thought exercise I'd like to.
They didn't lose by 40 points.
Oh, all right, thought exercise.
For the 3 of us here. Let's say you have a crappy NFL team, and
okay, that's easy. All right, next.
Right. Okay, and 8 of the 11 personnel on the field are 5 crappy offensive linemen and 3 crappy blocking tight ends, because the lineup has to be legal, and so there you go. The other 3 positions in any combination between quarterback, running back, and wide receiver are the 3 of us. If we ran 15 plays with 8 blockers, 5 crappy linemen, and the 3 of us in 15 plays, how many yards do you think that we could gain in an actual NFL game?
Well, I, of course, would be the lead blocker because I'm so giant.
I don't know, 0, probably negative.
You don't even think we could sneak behind a lineman to get a yard?
I think I know where this is going. And let me just say potentially more than what the hammer you're about.
That's why, because I think even if we fell forward, we guessed the right side of the center 4 times, we could probably get 4 yards, which is what the New York Jets gained in the second half of their game on 15 offensive plays this weekend.
4 yards.
So I don't want to talk about. I mean, they scored on their first possession. They didn't do squat after that. The first interception that Sam Darnold, do yourself a favor and go back and watch it, because there are 2 receivers streaking down either side of the field that are nearly uncovered, and Darnold throws it down the middle where 3 defensive backs are, and it gets picked off. And you can't. They broke him. He's broken. There's no point in discussing the Jets.
Yeah, there's not much to say. Let's just go to this. They're 20-point underdogs. Do they have any shot of covering?
No, absolutely
not
not.
A chance.
Bet your house on it. It's
Lock of the week.
20 now or 20 and a half.
Just like the under in the Giants-Eagles game was the lock of the week.
It opened at 19 and a half. The money went hard on Kansas City and to throw up a point, and they're going to keep going up. No, they got no chance. But now the scary thing is, two things. One, we got Trevor Lawrence saying, who knows today about staying in college or going. I know that's different than I've declared. I'm telling you, I said it last week. I think he's going to pull an Eli. The Jets are going to get the first pick, and he's going to.
I can see that. He's not staying for.
No, but
year,
I can see him saying, I'll sit out a year.
He's saying he's not playing for the Jets. He's going to say that.
But the Jets will go 0-16 again.
Yeah, exactly. But do they take Justin Fields instead, or Darnold's on his 5th-year option? They got to pay him a lot of money next year to do, if they draft somebody. The other thing is though that Mekhi Becton is already one of the 10 best tackles in the NFL. And that's not just me saying that, apparently. I get somewhat into the stats, not as deep as the next generation. But he apparently is that good. He was throwing people around again on Sunday. But oddly, they don't always, he's always they run a lot of plays to the right. I don't know why he's always on the backside of the run plays. And the other thing is Le'Veon Bell had 0 16-yard carries as a New York Jet, and his first carry with the Kansas City Chiefs went for 16 yards.
I think he had 17. I'm not sure if it's 17 carries or 17 touches this week. It seems like he's pretty much fully ready to go.
Yeah.
The Lev Bell revenge game narrative is strong.
Yeah.
Fiercely strong with this game.
All right, so we all think the Chiefs covered.
Yep.
Matos, Giants got any chance this week against the Bucks?
Hell no.
No Chris
no.
Godwin.
I'll give him this intangible factor. And I don't think Brown is going to be. I know they officially announced the Antonio Brown signing today. Maybe he'll be out there. I guess because they have so much attrition, their wide receiver room is really hurting. He might be out there. I don't know if it'll be much of a factor. Who knows what kind of shape he's in?
Well, doesn't has he done his?
I think he's went through his. They officially announced the signing today, so you gotta. I think you have to go through the protocol before they can officially announce the signing.
No offense to Antonio Brown, but he doesn't strike me as a paperwork sort of guy. So I wasn't.
And he also doesn't strike me as the kind of guy to
protocol, and
he doesn't strike me as the socially distant kind of guy. So that might have been a little risk factor in that screening process.
Speaking of social distancing, what about Danny Dimes and Saquon being spotted out at the club the other night?
Let's not even go there. That's a who knows what happened with that particular story.
I don't know, but I would love to party with the combination of Daniel Jones. And
I'm sure it was a great time.
Seems like an odd couple, like made in heaven.
It was a great time. And look, Benjamin Victor, Alex Bachman, and Austin Mack were out there too. So that
three guys
how committed I am as a Giants fan. You've never even heard of those guys.
3 guys who have never started a game of quarterback for the Giants. No one gives a shit.
So I think the only thing that works in the Giants' favor is the intangibles factor of the Giants' history against Tom Brady and Patrick Graham knowing Brady a little bit from being defensive coordinator for Miami last year, and Joe Judge maybe having glommed some stuff off of Bill Belichick and being around Tom Brady.
Tuck ain't walking through that door though.
No, but hey, look, the Giants do get after the quarterback, and I think they're in top 5 in the league in sacks, if not top 10. But they're up there in terms of sack production. It's just they don't get after the quarterback consistently. But you're right. Not even Jay Alford is walking through that door. So,
yeah. No, I agree. I don't think the Giants have a chance this week. Look, hopefully
Tom Brady.
Monday night, the Giants have not played well.
Yeah, it's not good.
The Giants don't play well on Monday night. Historically, the Death Star of Tampa Bay seems to just be rounding into formation and destructive. It's most destructive capabilities. Not looking good.
All right. Let's talk college football. Legit. All right, let's talk college football, Jack. Let's talk about something with
happy.
You.
What do you want to start
Rutgers, big 38-27 victory over the Spartans.
Un-effing believable. I couldn't have been more wrong about my Big Ten predictions. I'm still a little bit in shock. It was just the most exciting thing that has happened to my college football fandom in a while. They scored 28 points in the first half. They forced 7 turnovers. They never got closer than 10 after the Rutgers went up. the offense from the first snap looked like a normal, multi-faceted, college offense. I mean, Greg Schiano just took Chris Ash's players and 9 beautiful transfers, and then, won a Big Ten game for the first time since 2017. It's incredible. I guess maybe in retrospect, he's that good a coach. Maybe we shouldn't have doubted, anybody should have doubted that he was going to get one a lot sooner than we thought. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched the whole game, but defensively, they looked like, they had some NFL guys playing. That Julius Turner, who's 6 feet even and 260, was playing that, as the announcer kept calling it, that cocked nose position, where instead of lining up straight on the center, he kept lining up cock-nosed at an angle, and Michigan State could not figure out how to block this kid just because he lined up on a slight angle to the center. And it was incredible. He was in the backfield all day. Even the defensive secondary played very well. The Michigan State quarterback threw for some yardage, but didn't do much damage other than stuff between the 30s, which was fine. So
is it too early to get excited though? What if Michigan State goes winless and Rutgers gets their doors blown off against the Hoosiers this weekend?
It depends. So we're not going to a bowl game, but they're probably headed for 3 wins almost for sure now, just because we'll talk about Maryland in a little bit. But if you watched any of that game, the two teams are actually pretty different in where they seem to be right now. And then Illinois, if Rutgers is going to play like that against Illinois, they're going to beat Illinois. So 3-5. I mean, if you told us that Schiano would go 3-5, I don't care what the score of the other games are. I expect to get blown out by Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, at least this year. I mean, if they go 4-4, build the guy a statue, put it outside the stadium now. But they look good. They looked beyond competent. They looked above average for most of that game, which I think is the most incredible thing. Most of those guys were there. Greg Schiano just coached them up.
The MVP of this team, I didn't see him on the sideline at all. It's very rare that you would call an MVP of somebody who didn't show up on the sideline. But this little guy I like to call Transfer Portal. What a stud he was for this Rutgers team.
Mr. T. Portal. He's out of Connecticut, I think. Yeah.
Schiano, that win is worth 3 wins. To be honest with you, I don't think that
it doesn't matter what happens after this.
No, it doesn't. It
hasn't won a Big Ten game since 2017.
It doesn't matter because that win was worth 3 wins or 4 wins in and of itself. It was a statement game.
They scored 6 touchdowns in their entire Big Ten schedule last year. They scored 4 on Saturday.
It was a statement game. They went on the road. They didn't just beat. And look, Michigan State has its problems. They're not a very good team. They're certainly not the Michigan State of the last couple of years for obvious reasons. They went on the road in Greg Schiano's first game in the Big Ten. Granted, there's nobody in the stadium. And they destroyed Michigan State. Michigan State, as Jack pointed out, not even close at any point. Anytime Michigan State came roaring back, Rutgers threw something right at him, got a big turnover, got a big play on offense. Rutgers was in control of that game. And I mean, it's not enough to say that they won. They went on the road and took total control of a team that's not Indiana, an up-and-coming team in and of itself, which we'll unfortunately get to in a few minutes. It's not Illinois. It's not Maryland. It's Michigan State. There's a legacy there for Michigan State. It's not Ohio State or Michigan itself, but there's a legacy there.
It's a
tough place to play. It's tough to go on the road and win in the Big Ten. Yeah. And Rutgers made a statement by going out and playing it the way they did. I clown on Schiano and Rutgers fans for how they reacted when Schiano came back, but the dude went out there and showed, I'm a good coach, and here I am, and Rutgers is going to be a factor. We're not going to be a doormat anymore. Maybe not the rest of the season. Maybe that doesn't come to fruition this season. But, Jack, I think you're right. I mean, the future is totally bright, and it's because Schiano is a great college coach. You got to give it to him.
This game has reservations. I told you, 2 of the top 3 recruits in the state of New Jersey both headed to Michigan State next year, haven't signed letters of intent. The running back, both guys play at St. Joe's in Montvale up in North Jersey. the running back, Giano, apparently still all over him. So this is the sort of thing that, could have kids decide after watching that, why would I go to East Lansing when I can go to New Brunswick?
And look,
Piscataway, excuse me, and play for a guy like that.
We'll get into it. I'm sure we'll discuss it somewhat when we talk about Penn State, about the pandemic's impact on teams practicing and getting used to new offenses and all this other shit. Schiano took a team of guys who hadn't even been on the friggin' campus for a couple of months,
right,
with a completely new coaching staff, and turned them into a fucking college football team in a matter of months on short notice with all the implications of the pandemic. I mean, it goes beyond what he did, what type of coaching job he did on Saturday for the Scarlet Knights. Tremendously impressive.
Weekend against Indiana?
No. Look, again, they don't have to win another game this season for this to have a significant impact. I don't
think they win. I think this game is going to be much closer.
No,
because Rutgers
if Indiana carries any momentum off of that Penn State win, which I think they will, because they seen Penix got into a groove and their offense was moving way differently at the end of the game against Penn State. They got a lot of confidence from that. The refs certainly helped them give a little bit more confidence than they should have had. But Indiana is a good team. They should have been ranked to start the season. I think it was criminal that they weren't. No way Rutgers beats Indiana. I'm sorry.
I don't think they're going to beat them. I didn't say that, but if you were thinking 21 earlier, you're thinking 10 now. Like Rutgers
might not be a blowout, but it may, and they may keep it close throughout 3 quarters. But in the 4th quarter, I don't know that Indiana won't turn it into a laugh.
I'd argue that Rutgers has a better defense than Indiana right here where we're sitting here on Tuesday. But the gap in offense is so large that we couldn't possibly keep up. I get that.
As great as Rutgers was, their offensive yardage totals. I mean, it was completely because they got.
No, I know
that's
exactly. They didn't put up a lot of yards. You're absolutely right. 7 turnovers. I mean, when you're +4, I mean, Rutgers did turn it over 3 times themselves. When you're +4 in the turnover battle, though, you should win. But Rutgers has never been +4. I mean, I don't think they've been +4 in the turnover battle since the 90s. I started going there in 95. It's got to be before that. I'd also like to say return of the 90s uniforms. They're back because Schiano's back. These are the
Block
beautiful
R on the helmets.
The Block R helmet with this font that only they have, but it's not wacky, and they wear all white at home. Please, can we just stick with these? I love them. They're perfect.
It's a beautiful, simple aesthetic.
Wear red on the road. Please don't use black for black's sake. Nobody likes it. You want one alternate? That's fine. Do something with the state of New Jersey outline. I don't care. Springsteen. But, man, they looked good winning that game on top of winning that game.
But let me just say this. I mean, you guys, I think you guys are contradicting yourselves like crazy. If Rutgers now comes out and goes loses 8 games in a row, the season is a disappointment. I don't care what you say. You can't have that victory, lose 8 in a row, and say we beat Michigan State.
Fine, but
they got to put up now. They got to keep the momentum going.
Right,
the season is a disappointment if they lose 8 games in a row.
Fine, but they're not.
I mean, look, I don't think they're going to lose all the rest of the
That's
season.
I already thought they don't need to win another game. This, that, and the other.
I already thought they were going to beat
Michigan State is a historically bad team. So
irrelevant. So was Rutgers.
Yeah, I mean,
no. This season,
it doesn't matter.
It does matter.
But for Rutgers, we're playing on a different level. This is winning on the road in the Big Ten for Rutgers. It's like winning the Rose Bowl. I know if Rutgers goes out and loses the next 8 games by 6 points each,
the season is a disappointment.
I'd be that.
That's not. I mean, that's not a realistic scenario.
I know because, but I mean, we usually lose 60-something to nothing. So if we can get it to the point where we're losing 27-14, we'll take it. You know what I mean? But
yeah, I agree with that. But if you lose by 14 to Maryland, the season is a disappointment.
Well, do you want to talk about Maryland?
Oh, we can.
Because that's not going to happen.
I mean, there's not much to say.
I mean, so now we know why Leah Tagovailoa was at Alabama, because he happens to have an older brother named Tua.
Yeah, he's not good.
Maryland got absolutely
coasting off that name.
Maryland got absolutely boat raced by Northwestern.
43-3.
That Peyton Ramsey kid is good. He is a game changer for Northwestern. That was the best offensive showing they've had in years. He looked like he knew what he was doing. He ran the offense perfectly. His feet very quick, couldn't be tackled. He knew when to throw it. He knew when to run it. At the same time, the Maryland defense is, you want to talk about historically bad. I think this is going to be the Maryland defense that sets the record for most points given up per game, since we're playing less games than usual. I have a feeling that this Maryland defense is going to set some records the way we don't want them to.
An ominous start considering their opponent.
Did you guys watch any of that defense?
Yeah, I watched the first half, and what can you say? It's a disaster. I mean, it's just
they don't tackle.
Disaster. Maryland
they don't tackle. They don't pressure. They don't cover. They don't
get shambles.
They don't get to the ball quick, even when it's thrown in front of them. They're slow to get up to that tackle. It looked like they had no concept. The linebackers kept running in. Offensive linemen were getting to the second level so quickly because they had nobody to block on the, on the first level. So they were getting at, and linebackers were running into the blockers almost like, hey, what are you guy on the other team who's trying to keep me from getting to the ball carrier? What are you doing there? No sense for how not to take themselves out of the play. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad.
Yeah, they're horrible. I mean, there's not much else to
Tagovailoa looked like Sam Darnold. He kept throwing into double, triple coverage. Even those long passes, those were covered routes, and he didn't throw them far enough that nobody could catch him. Just bad decision after bad decision. Mike Locksley, his career record as a head coach is 2-27.
Does he survive this year?
Yes. He's not going to get fired during the season.
Does he survive after the season then?
Yes, but this was
hard
never
to see. I mean, it'd only be because of money if he does. I mean, they're gonna go 0-8.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see how
just
they're gonna
whatever
win
the contract
how bad
is.
they are.
Bad PR for Damon Evans to go back and fire him after 2 years. This
lose by 40 points to Northwestern.
Yeah, in the opening game too. It's not like Northwestern. We were both
going to lose to Ohio State by 70.
Yeah. This smells of when Maryland hired Bob Wade back in the day after Lefty got fired, when Len Bias, God rest his soul, passed away, and they hired Bob Wade, and it ended up not being a good idea. He was a local guy, and the players loved him, and he was a great recruiter, but he wasn't cut out to be a college head coach, and it all went awry very quickly. And Locksley, I'm sure, is a wonderful offensive coordinator, but I mean, I don't know how you hire a guy who had all this, sexual assault suits and his kids crashing college cars that belong to the university, and 2-27 on top of that. It was a poor idea from the beginning. This was a bad idea, Jeans. And there were just better candidates out there. I would have hired Matt Campbell at the time. I think this was, I would have thrown a bunch of money at him. This was, I think, when you could still get him after he'd been at Iowa State for a year. But yeah, I mean, they just got crushed by Northwestern. They play the rest of the Big Ten schedule, so it's going to be bad.
Yeah, bad situation in Maryland. Let's talk about another bad situation. Penn State falls to the Hoosiers by 36-35. Outgained Indiana by 270 yards, had 11 more first downs, somehow below the game. Matos?
Oh boy. What a disappointing start to the season. Typical James Franklin experience. Team hit the bed the first half. I mean, it was basically, they spent the entire second half, mostly the fourth quarter, trying to make up for how horrible they played overall in the first half. Almost came back and won it. But still, I mean, no unit was perfect. The defense was great in the first half. And then at the very end of the game, they weren't so great. The offense was terrible at the beginning of the game. And then at the end of the game, they kind of figured things out.
Yeah.
The one thing that was consistently terrible the entire game was special teams. It was pretty god awful. 3 missed kicks, including the one at the end of the game, by the field goal kickers, the 2 field goal kickers. Coaching failures, playing failures, just a calamity of errors, with credit to Indiana for sticking to it and coming through at the end of the game, as I alluded to before, with little help from the refs, because there is no way. I understand why they made the call on the field as a 2-point conversion, but there was no way that was actually a 2-point conversion.
Yeah, big win for Indiana, as we saw 5,000 times during the game. First win over top 25 team since the late 80s.
Anthony
And they should have been ranked before the season. I think they're that good. They had enough returning talent. Granted, they lost their bowl game last year, but they should have been
I'm
ranked.
kind of
They're a
mixed on
decent
them.
team.
I don't know how good they are. I mean,
I don't
they won
either,
the
but I think they're
game,
deserving to
but
be ranked.
Yeah, I can't. I don't. I think we're blowing up
with
Indiana's
the
spot a little
special
bit here. Like,
teams,
why?
the
I don't know
missed
why they
field
should be
goals, the
ranked.
turnovers. Credit to them. They won the game. They made the plays when they had to make the plays. But I think this is your classic case of we lost the game more than Indiana won the game.
That's fair.
I hate to
That's
say
fair.
it, but yeah, Penn State kind
Was
of.
not impressed with the new Shiraka offense. Very conservative.
Looked a lot like the old Ricky Ronnie offense.
Didn't see a lot from what we saw from Minnesota last year when he took it to us as the offensive coordinator there. Clifford was horrible in the first half. I'll give him credit. He came on, played a really good
Played
second
really
half.
well in the second half.
So I was impressed. But it kind of came down to what we thought. They have no explosion at wide receiver. You got the late big touchdown from Jahan Dotson, but other than that, the receivers were just nowhere to be found. Cam Sullivan-Brown didn't even play.
Parker Washington looked okay. He had an
Parker
almost catch
Washington
that turned out
played
to a
well.
drop.
He's going to be a good player. I
Texan,
heard today. I
too,
think
right?
Sullivan-Brown. He had the old false positive that kept him out of the game. Unfortunately, tough break there. One of their starting wide receivers, but Indiana had a good game plan. They kept, Gesicki had 7 catches, but they kept him bottled up. They were double teaming him every play.
Freiermuth, you mean? You said Gesicki.
I'm sorry, Freiermuth. Yeah, Freiermuth. Losing Noah Kane on the first drive was just a complete backbreaker. I think if he, doesn't go down, it's a different result. I was not too impressed with Devin Ford. He showed a little shake and bake here and there, but I didn't see anything, explosive out of him. I think we're going to have to lean heavily on these 2 freshman running backs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about Kevon Lee. He looked
Kevon's
good. He looked like Noah Kane from last year.
The big dude.
Keziah Holmes has been getting rave reviews from camp, but he comes out. He had the fumble on his first college carry. Luckily, he was down, but I think that kind of put him in the doghouse a little bit after that. Other than Freiermuth, there's just no explosion on offense, and I think it kind of reminds me of the Giants. It's just let's try and get these 10, 12, 15 play drives. You just can't do it over and over without making mistakes.
I agree with you. As much as I hope that Clifford would be able to step up and make the necessary plays, his limitations, I think, are not going to get any better. There doesn't seem to have been any year-to-year growth for him. He still seems like the same guy he was last year. Granted, a lot of his running was what brought them back into the game at the end of the game. He seems like he loves to hold on to the ball and run. So that's a problem. Because he's probably going to get hurt.
I will say, though, that touchdown run,
there was a nice run.
There are only so many kids in America that could do what he just did. That was incredible. I didn't think he had it in him.
I agree with you, and it certainly I didn't think after he got about 10 yards, I was like, all right, this is over. When I think
he's just going to scoot out of
bounds.
Left
turn, a 90-degree left turn to the sideline. I was like, this is not good, and then he
never fell down.
Right. Well, hey, that's hard. All right, it's easier said than done.
You got to get to the pros to do that.
He's a one read kind of guy. He was locking onto Freiermuth, and it wasn't working in terms of him getting to a progression to be able to look at anybody else. I'm concerned that Shiraka has to limit the offense and keep it to the Ronnie offense because of him, because of his inabilities to kind of get over and grow as a quarterback. Too much running is not a recipe for success for him. I'm also concerned that the coaching staff made a snap decision at about the middle of the game to try and give Will Levis some play and screwed up both snaps, which resulted in a goal line fumble. Actually, I think it was right before halftime, that goal line fumble by Will Levis when Clifford wasn't playing that well. That kind of concerned me that they made that decision
I
so
don't know if
early
that
in
was
the
a snap
game.
decision. I mean, that was part of the offense last year. Soraka did that a lot. And I
It
think
was, but it
that's
didn't
part of the
fit.
game plan.
It didn't fit, but it was a wild time in the game to do it. And to me, it didn't portend well for them when they gave the first snap to Will Levis. I think it was on a 3rd down or a 4th down,
delay
and
game.
they got to delay a game because he just couldn't get the offense lined up. Nobody seemed to be on the same page. So maybe it's a part of the offense, but it didn't seem like they prepared for it very well. It was just it wasn't good the first time. It was even worse the second time.
I thought,
but it's almost like a reverse Rutgers. Rutgers thrived because of the turnovers that they got. Penn State died because of the turnovers that they caused in the second half. Gave Indiana a short field, and they converted with ease on it.
wow, I thought Penix looked. I still can't say it without even laughing.
Penix.
Yeah. First of all,
Came
with
up
Penix,
huge.
it's always a
Penix
game.
came up huge.
And I know, but with Penix, it's always a game of inches. I'm sure that one's also been used. But I thought he looked Hackenberg like cannon of an arm, and sometimes the ball got to the receiver, and sometimes it didn't.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, when the ball got to the receiver was in the last 4 minutes of the game.
Right.
He
Well,
turned into
Turned it on
Cam
when he
Newton.
needed to.
2 things happened. Devin Ford, if he doesn't score, Penn State wins. I hate to say. And when that kid dove on the slant and Penix threw it so hard that it actually just kind of like glued into his gloves and somehow he held on to it. If that kid doesn't catch that pass, Penn State wins. So, I mean, that wasn't a good throw. That was, the kid stuck his arms out and the ball stayed there. I don't know how.
Yeah, and so they said after the game, they said they told Ford to go down, so he was prepared for that. He just had a mental brain fart.
I figured as much.
And you could see it when he was running. He almost got to the 2-yard line and was like, "Wait a minute, didn't they tell me not to score?" And then he couldn't slow down.
I mean, it's a big mistake, but I'm not going to kill him too much.
No,
I mean, that's what they're trained to do is score touchdowns. He just made a mistake. I had a bigger.
They should have kneeled down. Is what they should have done. They should not have given him the ball. They should have just kneeled down.
They needed a first down. They needed a first down to ice it. So if he gets the first and just goes down there, the game's over.
Take the clock down to 50 seconds, whatever, it would have been less than a minute left.
They call timeout.
And you kick the field goal.
Penn State just kneels twice, and it's
yeah, man. If he executed it right, it would have worked, and the Indiana wouldn't have got the ball back. But I hear you.
It's tough.
Young kid. You
need him. He's your tailback now, so you got.
I had bigger issue with not trying to get a couple more yards on the 59-yard field goal.
Before that, that was a big issue as well.
Yeah, they should have got the
7-yard
first
field goal,
down and
whatever it
spiked it.
was.
Yeah, all they had to do was sneak it for the first, spike it, and then
I don't know why they didn't try. They get another 3 yards there, and the field goal is good.
Yep.
I had a bigger issue with that. The defense looked really good. They were dominant at times.
And I don't even want to knock the defense
in overtime.
I don't know why Shaka Tony didn't play like he did in the fourth quarter in overtime.
I mean, you can't compare. You knew they were passing. It's easy to rush the passer when you know they have to pass over down. But Owa looked good. I saw a stat. I saw PFF had him graded. It was either the top defensive
four. I think it was
player
top
in the
four
country.
Defensive. Yeah.
Who was?
Jason Owa.
Jason Owa.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was good. He looked good.
Linebackers
they're missing one of their corners. He didn't play at all. I don't know if it was suspension or another false positive. Lamont Wade was so. Can't have him in man coverage. If Penix was a little more accurate, Penn State would have lost by more because he missed some wide open guys that Lamont Wade was covering.
Right, he did. Wade had some trouble.
But it is what it is. It's those.
You can't fault the defense for the late
game
because it seemed like it was just series after just bad.
It was the turnovers and the missed field goals.
Yeah.
Turnovers and missed field goals.
And questionable coaching decisions.
I didn't love the play call. I thought first and second down play calling made sense to me. Third and fourth down got a little questionable. And Franklin's reputation as a great recruiter, wonderful CEO, maybe not the best game coach of all time, kind of shown through there to me in the second half.
He seems to manage to cost Penn State
more than he helped.
A game a year with just something that just is a
Boneheaded. Like not
boneheaded.
running more plays to get closer for the field goal. Those are little things that add up.
Time management or field position stupidity seems to happen once a year.
So
Sometimes it's against a really good opponent, so you might say it doesn't matter. A lot of times it's against an opponent you think you're going to beat, and he just makes some bad decisions, and then usually ends up making for it somehow at the end of the year. So I wouldn't doubt his ability to try and turn this thing around or to legitimately turn this thing around. But it was extremely disappointing. And look, I know everybody's talked it over to death, so I'm just going to go on a mini rant about the friggin' 2-point conversion. I've already mentioned it two times already. They didn't lose the game because of it, so I'm not going to blame the game on the refs. But there is no fucking way that ball crossed the plane, because it would have been physically impossible. The still shot and the slow-mo replay showed that the ball, the one nose of the football hit the ground. It would have been physically impossible for that ball to have crossed any part of the goal line, because it would have had to touch the fucking pylon
or go over the
across the goal
pylon
line
at an angle. Right. It never.
And
came at it
here's
from the
another
front.
a technology complaint. Why the fuck don't they have pylon cams at more of these games? It's so stupid. You have the technology available, put it on the friggin' field and use it. It would have been hugely instrumental in this
Indiana,
case.
man,
they
can't
didn't
afford
have
a
it.
pylon cam, and
Yeah, it's
No, fucking
they
Big
don't.
Ten. You got millions of dollars.
Yeah, that stuff
Pay
goes
for all
in
your
the
teams to have
basketball
pylon
arena.
cams.
You got to go to the
Yeah,
arena
shit.
basketball gym to see that stuff.
tough break on that call, but never should have let it get there. But
Here's
that was a tough
a
break.
here's a
Agree.
here's
And
a
if Micah
crazy-
Parsons was out there, it wouldn't happen.
Yes. Here's a crazy fun stat about Indiana State college football. Not only did Indiana win this weekend, but Purdue, with their offensive coordinator, who is also the younger brother of the head coach, filling in because Jeff Brom had COVID. Purdue wins. Indiana and Purdue, the last time they both started 1-0 in the Big Ten was 2001. There's another school in Indiana that's right now is 5-0 because they absolutely waxed Pittsburgh on Saturday. The Irish just. Pittsburgh came in with the number one rushing defense in the country and lost with a 45-3 defeat. Notre Dame started throwing the ball down the field, and it worked. And Notre Dame's 5-0. But if all three teams were to win next week, it's never happened before. Purdue, Indiana, and Notre Dame have never started 6-0, 2-0, and 2-0 in the history of college football. They all started playing in 1893. So I thought that was a pretty damn long time for neither of those teams to go 2-0 at the same time the Irish were good.
Well, Dan, you mentioned getting it turned around, so it starts Saturday night, 7:30 Halloween night. Guys come into Beaver Stadium.
Maryland plays Friday night. They got the rare Friday night game this week.
Yeah.
Lucky them.
Not gonna be good.
Ohio State favored by 8 points. I think this is the lock of the century. I don't see any way Penn State keeps this within 8 points.
That line sure is talking to me. I had not seen it. I am quite frankly gobsmacked by it.
It may not even be. It may be more than 8 by now.
Guys, they're
look,
sharps.
even if it's
a 7-point game, they're sharps. They know.
If it starts at 8, that is very intriguing to me, because I would not, based on their first initial performances, I would not have predicted that. Look, I thought at the beginning of the season they weren't going to win this game, so I still don't think that they're going to win it, but I won't put it out of the realm of the possibility that they do, because that's also something that James Franklin does, as I alluded to, is that they look like shit one week and then they come out and they're friggin' awesome. So
and
is it possible?
2020. It's 2020. If that were going to
possible.
happen, this is the year.
It's possible.
I don't see it. It's I
They
guess
lose the
I
intangibles
guess it's
without the fans
technically
in the
possible. But I
stands.
don't see it. I think this is going to be a complete
I don't see it either. But
I don't think they win. But if the line's 8, somebody knows something.
That's.
That feels like a 10-point game with everyone praying that Penn State kicks a field goal to make it close with 0 when it doesn't matter.
I told you last week Indiana was going to have Penn State. You guys talked me out of it. I shouldn't let you do that. Let me tell you, this week this is going to be an absolute bloodbath. Ohio State's going to destroy Penn State. We're going to have to come back next week and get it right against Maryland. But
Lamont Wade worries me.
This is going to be ugly.
To echo what Jack said, I was feeling one kind of way, and then you told me the line was 8, and I changed my mind a little bit. I still don't think that they win. But that's interesting to me.
All right. Well, let's see.
I'm
You
more
guys
inclined to think that
there's
they
a
might
chance
win than I
it's-
was at the
You guys
beginning,
think if
so.
there's a chance it's close? I think it's going to be a blowout. Let's see what happens.
All right,
Hope
we'll
I'm
see.
wrong.
The proof is in the
yeah.
pudding. Saturday night, baby.
Rutgers, Indiana, we talked about, and then Maryland, Minnesota. Hard to tell how good they are on Friday night.
Yeah, they're
but
going to get crushed.
They got a better team,
Yeah.
and Maryland's going to get crushed. So whatever the line is, bet
Bet
responsibly.
the house on Minnesota.
Minnesota looks like
responsibly on the-
Minnesota doesn't look like they lost much by losing.
Sky
Spencer
Yuma, the
Rattler.
Gophers.
They look like they were in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
All right, boys, that's it for this week. Any special shout outs? Dan, big vote on election day coming up, but it's not the one you're thinking of, folks.
Nope,
Election day is Friday.
The more important vote is Stevie Cohen being considered by all of Major League Baseball's ownership. Friday news just went to print with the New York Post. Apparently, they got the exclusive that the vote is going to be Friday. I had seen, obviously with the World Series ending this week, MLB usually embargoes any information from teams, major information from teams coming out during the World Series. So you had to know it was going to happen after Wednesday, which is Game 7 tomorrow. It's Friday, apparently. Seems like everything's smoothed out and ready to go.
Will he get unanimous approval?
No, he didn't even get unanimous approval coming out of their small ownership change committee. Apparently, Jerry Reinsdorf is a big A-Rod guy, a huge friend of A-Rod, doesn't want Stevie Cohen, and apparently doesn't like Stevie Cohen even outside of the fact that A-Rod was rivaling him for purchase of the Mets. So it doesn't seem likely that Reinsdorf's going to vote for him. Maybe there's a couple other owners that don't, but apparently it's expected that he's going to sail through, so there won't be enough of an opposition to prevent him from getting ownership. I would imagine probably next week there'll be some type of press conference formally where Steve Cohen formally introduces himself to the fan base. I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold out that long. This is a momentous occasion. I got my colors on in honor of the transfer of power, and I'm looking forward to what Stevie's going to bring to the Mets. Uncle Stevie, I know you can do it, baby. Just don't fuck things up like the Wilpons did. That's all I ask.
Well, I was going to drop a quick shout out to announce that Maryland basketball transfer Jarris Hamilton has just been declared eligible for this season. So the 6'9" BC transfer, Jarris Hamilton, we need size. So that's good. But that leads me to do the rare agenda item we forgot. Pat Chambers, guys.
Oh,
who's going to be the next on your quick short list? Who's going to be the next basketball coach at Penn State?
I read a roster of potential guys that was not very impressive today. So I think it's safe to say whoever they hire is not really going to win me over. So
it'll be somebody underwhelming. That's all we know. But
I think Jerry Dunn might be out there. So maybe they bring Jerry Dunn back.
Yeah.
It'll be we'll have to be hurting for topics before we discuss Penn State basketball on this show.
Wow. Okay. True. All right. Well, I can't wait for Terrapin basketball season and Rutgers basketball season.
Yeah.
That'll take up plenty of air then.
All right. That's it for this week. Like our video, subscribe to our page, and we'll be back next week with another edition of East Coast Bias.